In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Tableau to create visualizations. Within the creation window, we've got a few shelves. Columns, that's going to be our x-axis, and rows, that's going to be our y-axis. Then we have the marks card, and the marks card allows us to modify features like color, size, text, and then the mark itself. We have a variety of options here. So to build a simple chart, I'm going to start by bringing out a measure. I'll drop sales onto my rows shelf and order date onto my column shelf. Right now, Tableau is set to an automatic mark. That means it's going to evaluate the measures and dimensions I bring into the view and determine what the best likely chart type would be. So in this case, it likes a line chart. You'll notice that I have order date, which is a date field. Tableau recognizes that. And within this blue pill, we have a plus icon that indicates a hierarchy. And a hierarchy allows me to drill down into different date parts. I can go from year to quarter, quarter to month, and so on. Alternatively, if I don't want date parts, but instead want things truncated at at a certain date grain, I can click into the menu here, and you'll see that we have year, quarter, month on top, and then repeated below that year, quarter, month, etc. The top part of this menu is going to be the date part, or the bottom part is going to be a date trunk. So if I select month from the bottom menu, Tableau will truncate my sales by the month and year. Okay, I'm going to call this sheet my line chart, and I'm going to create a new sheet. On this one, I'm going to use two measures, both on rows and columns. So in this case, I'm going to select sum of sales and drop that on my column shelf. Then I'm going to take profit and drop that on rows. You can see we have the start of a scatter plot, but right now we only have one mark. To add more marks, I just need to grab some dimension and drop that on detail. I'll grab product ID, and we have a scatter plot. Now I can embellish this scatter plot by using other parts of the marks card. For example, I've got color. I could take region and drop that on color to color each mark by the region in which it was sold. I've also got size available to me. I could grab discount or quantity and drop that on size. Now that we have size and color involved in the scatter plot, I can continue to embellish it. One example of a visualization is making a small multiples of that visualization. One way to do that would to bring order date to columns and then segment to rows. What that does is give me a scatter plot for every combination of year of purchase as well as my segment, consumer, corporate, and home office. Now that we've created a scatter plot and learned how to turn charts into small multiples, I'm going to create a new worksheet. Not every chart type in Tableau requires something on columns and rows. An example of that would be a tree map. For a tree map, I could bring a dimension to detail and drop a measure on size. This is a basic tree map. To take this tree map to the next level, I could add region and then maybe drop profit on color. In addition, I could click on subcategory and add it to label. When creating a tree map in Tableau, note that the order of the dimensions matters. If I drag region underneath subcategory, that will alter the view. Now I'm going to click on the three dots next to region and add it to label as well. Having done that, one thing I like to do is click on subcategory, or right click rather, and select show highlighter. That will populate a card on the right side of my chart, and if I click into it, I'll have a list of all my subcategory items. As I hover over each of those, Tableau will highlight that point within the chart. And that lets me see that, for example, while I'm selling appliances in each of my regions, there's something going on with my appliances sold in the central region. My profit's really poor. So that creates an opportunity for me to explore why profit is poor in the central region. To edit or customize your label, you can click on the label button. There are a lot of options to modify how the label appears. You can also click in these three buttons and add information or change font, font size, color, etc. Similarly, every time you hover over a mark, you have what we call a tooltip. That's going to bring up this information: West, binders, how much profit, how many sales. We can edit this as well. By clicking on tooltip, I can modify how the tooltip appears. Out of the box, tooltips are okay, but I think modifying your tooltips and customizing them really take your charts to the next level. For example, I'm going to put region category on the same line. Maybe I'll bold those, and then I'll take profit and sales, increase the size a little bit, and I'll center all of this as well. Then I'll hit OK. Now I have this custom tooltip. The last thing you'll notice is that profit and sales are coming over as just regular numbers. To change that, I'm going to select both using Control. I'm going to go to Default Properties and Number Format. In this menu, I'll change it to currency, and I'll just get rid of the decimal places. Now that tooltip will show each as a dollar amount, and then as well as I use those two measures throughout other visualizations on other worksheets, the default format will be currency as well. I'm going to rename this worksheet tree map, and I'm going to create a new worksheet, products. And for this sheet, I'm going to create a simple bar chart. I'm going to bring out product name, and I'm going to drag out sales, and I'm going to highlight or hover over sales and select the sort descending option. I'm going to rename this worksheet products, and then I'm going to go back to my tree map worksheet and select tooltip again. What we're going to do is embed that product sheet into the tooltip here. So in this window, hit Insert, Sheets, and then select Products. That's going to bring the worksheet in. We can specify a max width, max height, and then for filter, right now, I'm going to leave it at all fields. Now when I hit OK, the tooltip will show not only the region and subcategory, the profit and sales, but also within central binders, for example, what is making up or what products am I selling the most? I can see that the view is a little bit squished. So I'm going to go back into tooltip, and I'm going to add or modify the max width to be 700. And then I'm going to go into products and click on the T in the toolbar just to add labels so I know how much is sold for each product. You can see that some of these bars aren't labeled because the text is too large. The last thing I might do is go in, click on label, and change it to be a smaller font size. Things are looking a lot better. Now we can see at a high level how much sales and profit we have, as well as what products within each subcategory are selling. The last thing I want to touch on today is measure names and measure values. I'm going to create a new sheet. Tableau populates a measure names and measure values field with every data set. These fields are unique in that you can't use them in calculations, but they're really handy for building tables in worksheets. I'm going to create a quick table. I'll drag out subcategory, and I'll drag out order date. Right now, the marks card is set to automatic and it's text. I'm going to bring sales to text. And then I'm going to take profit and I'm going to bring it out to the middle of the view. There's a little show me indicated there. And if I drop profit, we see that these measure names and measure values suddenly populate. Measure names populated next to subcategory on rows, and measure values populated on text. Now, underneath our marks card, we have a measure values shelf. I can add all the measures I want to this shelf. Let's throw quantity on there, and let's maybe put an average discount. Now that average is a 0. I'm going to format that really quick to be a percent, and I'll take away the decimal points. Even though measure names and measure values can't be used in calculations, their pills can be used like other measures and dimensions. For example, we could move measure names up to the column shelf. We could move measure values out to our row shelf and get some kind of a bar chart. Measure names and measure values are invaluable for creating tables and spreadsheet-like views in Tableau. This concludes our video on building charts in Tableau. We didn't build every possible chart type, but we did cover the fundamentals. We know how to use our columns and row shelf and how to use our marks card. In future videos, we'll be building more charts. And if you want tutorials on how to build more complex visualizations, check out my how-to playlist.